Okay, people, welcome back to another play day. Oh, man, it's my favorite day. And yeah, maybe I've been having a lot of play days lately, but there's nothing wrong with that. Because a day you don't play ain't a day. It's still a day. You probably were productive in other areas of your life. But, man, sometimes you just have to carve out some time to play. Whether it be opening some figures, or doing a little customizing, or posing, or even rearranging your display. It's all playing. It's you distracting yourself from the trials and tribulations of everyday life. Playing. But today's play day for me is very specific to LegionsCon. I'm going to show off most of the stuff I either picked up, or was gifted, was given, was handed. It was kind of crazy. It was just left and right. I thought, everyone has such cool stuff. And so organized, too. Everyone either had stickers or business cards or some way to identify themselves. So if I got something, if I was handed something, it has their list. So I will show those on camera, but I'll also have all the links in the description if you want to check out the artists or go buy some products, some kits, some 3D prints, some art, or just go show them some love. Whatever you want to do. The option is yours. Because that's another form of playing, right? Going and looking at toys. You're being distracted, right? Let's start off with something that's not action figures, but very action figure related. These signs come from DBlakemakes, and I've actually looked at some of his signs before. It's been a while, but he was set up at LegionsCon. I was wandering by. They are so smooth. Now, what happens here is he 3D prints the base form. Then he comes in with some paint and a syringe and fills it up. And it just levels itself out. It gets shiny. It gets smooth. It looks very, very sweet. Watching him do it on streams is just as fun as getting the actual product. I mean, it's very soothing. It's very calming. And you can't really argue with the results because it's so dang crisp. It's so dang comic booky. And these are meant to spruce up your display. Check it out. Just adding the logo under it fancies it up a lot. Now, my displays are in complete disarray at the moment. I'm trying to get everything moved out to the shop so I could actually rearrange what I have in the office. So there's stuff all over the place. But once I get my groups, my teams, my movies all put together, ooh, they're going to be all over the place. And even fun things like this. I could display it like this, or put Deadpool over here and Wolverine over here, depending on how you display your figures. But I didn't just grab signs. He also makes accessories for action figures, like Daredevil's billy clubs. And how awesome does that look? Just pulling them out of the package, twisting it around my figure, a little pull, a little jerk, and there we go. I could have worded that better, but I don't wanna. I also grabbed this chain piece with a bendy wire running down the middle of it, and then it ends in a flame. Who could I use that for? Much more posable than the flame that Danny Ketch comes with, and bigger and shinier. Getting into some retail figures I picked up, Crashbox Kustoms actually tricked me into this Mossman homage Mythic Legions figure. Oh, it's not as bad as regular flocking. Go ahead. Touch it. You'll like it. And I will admit, it's not as bad as traditional type flocking, but it is still pretty damn bad. Saying that, I've always liked Mossman. Maybe not touching Mossman. I prefer it when he's unflocked, but that doesn't happen very often. So I do appreciate them giving me this, which was more of a, well, you touched it. It's in a bag. There you go. Not it. And I'll probably take it out of the bag at some point, display it somewhere. But for the moment, it's staying in here. I'm going to have to break out the oven mitts again, pull it out of the bag, put it in a display or up on the shelf where I can admire it from afar. Memories of LegionsCon and being traumatized all over again. Here's my Armory experience build where we got to go through, pick out different body parts in different color schemes and just throw something together that we liked, that we were admiring, that we were planning ahead. And planning ahead is probably the better thing to do than me just wandering into the experience and not knowing a dang. Well, okay, I say that. I'd been on a live stream with Trevor and they had talked about in the Cabal there being an app or something where you can put the pieces together, and I did that. But I didn't save that picture. So when I went in for my build, it was just kind of like, I don't know what to do. I actually started with green armor pieces and made my way through, and then I got to the end and there was the brown parts. So I grabbed those and made my way back. And then I flip-flop on a couple things, especially the head. And it was at end turn, so there was a time limit. And I used every second of that time limit. But this is what I came up with. And by the time I got back to the hotel and put it together and saw what I actually chose, then, you know what? I'm pretty dang happy with this. It's not the most extravagant of colors, and it may be kind of basic looking, but man, I love the silvers and the browns and the blacks together. It just works for me. I've thought about changing out the head with a custom or something, or doing a little painting here and there, but man, I just love all the little silver studs poking out of the darker color scheme. I like how it all works together. If I had chosen 2 or 3 more figures, maybe I would have went more vibrant with the colors or brighter or something. It made different choices. But having just one, this is mine. This is the one I would have chosen. Oh, and it took me several days to realize that the horns actually move. So I could bring them down. I like them up. I want him ducking under doorways. That's my guy right there. Got to hang out with Dan Larson from Secret Galaxy, and he gifted me this on his way out the door. He actually took my bags that I was holding at the time and mailed a lot of this stuff to me. So I appreciate that very, very much, because there's no way I would have gotten most of this home on a plane. But it wasn't just Dan. After he left, I acquired more things. So also special thanks to JC Gamble for taking the other half of my stuff home and mailing it to me after the show. I really, really appreciate both of y'all. I think this was the exclusive for Dan's Secret Galaxy convention, and a little out of my wheelhouse, size-wise, style-wise, but hey, I like cool exclusive things like this. There's all kinds of parts and pieces going on here. Have an alternate head, kind of a bike helmet, something for speed, feels aerodynamic, but I think I like the one that's on it. Have some translucent purple limbs going on, some black armor with silver highlights. Again, that's kind of right up my alley. Alternate hands. Oh, what? Is this a power glove? I was going to say I like the chunky forearms, but if that's a power glove, I gotta change that out, right? Wait, is this... Oh, it's yet another head, and I kind of like it. And since I still have a grip on the left, that can put the... Oh, no. I did not realize that was a Nintendo blaster. All ready to play Duck Hunt. Oh, well, shit. There's a 4th head. I cannot decide. I'm just trying them all on. I think this head goes here, maybe? Matches the head on the graphic. So is that the SG-02 official head? Replace this one, that kind of Spider-Man-y looking one. Behind the camera strength. Oh, I forgot that camera's going. Behind the camera strength. Okay, it looks like it has the scarf too. I think that is it. And then to round out the box, there's a couple of Secret Galaxy pins. And a pizza cutter for the toy pizza. Does that go in a hand? No, that goes on a wrist. But he doesn't have it in the picture. I want to keep it just like that. So, there we go. Exclusive Secret Galaxy figures. Another official figure is the Spero Toys Animal Warriors of the Kingdom Gladiator Atreyu. Got a bag down here with extras in it. Got the extra fist hands. There's a cane or a staff of some kind and a sword. And check out the rusty patina to it. It's got some age. Same for the weapons out of the package. This broadsword and this funky curved blade knuckle duster situation. Some open clawed hands. And then Atreyu himself. And oh, that neck is amazing. Forward and back. Okay, it does hit on this shoulder pad, but without that, tilt and side to side. Not to mention the sculpt and the colors. That war paint does a lot. I really, really like it. It makes them look fierce. Got some nice butterfly to the shoulder. The forearmors are a loose piece that floats, so it doesn't get in the way of the double elbow coming up. Shoulder armor, okay, it floats around too, so if you want to get it away from his head a little bit for more movement, not a problem, but then slide it back up to get out of the way of the arm. Ball joint at the waist, crunch in the abs, oh, all the way. Hip movement up and back and out, double knee. And on top of being overlays, the armor pieces are also very flexy, so doesn't get in the way of ankle articulation. I really like the thrown together look, almost like Mando Season 1. There's a shoulder pad going on, there is a bracer, but it's a different kind of bracer from the other side. But then that matches down to here, and this doesn't quite match to here. It's very mismatched, kind of asymmetrical, but it works for a gladiator, like found parts. He just grabbed whatever he could on the way out to the arena. And very agile. He can handle himself in the battles. I've messed with Animal Warriors of the Kingdom before, but it's always a joy to grab a new one. He's just tough looking. I love it. Some other official figures I got at this show were the D13 Toys Biblical Adventure Angels. This one I really wanted because of the blue and silver. There is some bendy wire around the bottom so you can do some posing for the lower robe. Same thing on the end of the sleeves, and I like that because if you get the arm up into a position, you can make it drape more natural. Get it down like that. And boom. Wings are fairly nice. They're not huge, but they work for what they are. There's a hinge here, and then a hinge forward and back. Double knee, pinless. Ab crunch for forward and back. Some waist swivel. Some double elbow pinless. And then, yeah, some butterfly joint at the shoulder. Ball hip, forward, out. There's a swivel at the thigh. Hinge at the ankle, back, forward facing pin. Out. Okay, those peg right in, and it's a shaped pin so they don't rotate this way. That silver is tasty too. With the blue on top, it's a nice contrast. There is a sword in the same color scheme, and then there is a shield. I don't know what the bow's for, but extra hands are cool. And then the base is sculpted rock with a peg on it. The wings do throw off the balance slightly, but it's not like you need the base for it to stand up. It can also do that on its own. But I wanted one of these because it was wrapped like chocolate, and there's just something super interesting about that. I love chocolate-themed action figures, candy-themed action figures. There's not a lot of them out there, so when I do see some, there's even a scratch and sniff sticker, which I haven't experienced in years. Yo, that's chocolate. Warning, choking hazard, small parts. Don't put the toys that look like chocolate or that I think look like chocolate in your mouth. Could be dangerous. It's even got the Easter wrapping inside, but this is what I really want to see. Okay, there's the sword, looks like white chocolate, and then the hands look like, oh, I'm excited. I just noticed the shield. Look at that. Hey, don't put it in your mouth. And there's an alternate head floating in there too. Ooh. Okay, I've got to do it. The face is dark chocolate, or traditional chocolate, and then white chocolate hair and wings. And the body underneath is just that brown color. I'm tempted to swap out the head, but I kind of like how the hair matches the wings. It brings that color in a little bit more. I think I love it. I really, really do. That's just amazing looking. What did I say? I wasn't doing it, okay? I wasn't. Next, I'm going to get into some 3D prints that need some assembling, some painting, some part searching. Like from CB Make, here's this crazy crab contraption. I love kits like this. I'm not quite sure what I'm supposed to use with this yet. I'm going to hunt it down and see how this works because it's unique. It may be recognizable because of the parts that you plug into here, but it's completely new because of this. And this is just an amazing sculpt. That texture up on top, these ridges, the eye stalks, the claws. Yeah, I am going to put this together. Then from Rocketfist Designs LLC, Jared Smith, creator of RFD, I got this. And I'm not quite sure what this is. It's just a neat hologram projection that plugs into something. Oh wait, there are ports on Cosmic Legions, aren't there? So that's gotta, yep, that plugs right there. Nifty as hell. Report, nothing at this time. He also handed me this, which is very specific. I mean, there's no denying the feelings that are being conveyed here. I am gonna do some painting. In fact, after this wraps up, in the next few weeks, I'm going to be doing a lot of dull coating, a lot of base coating, a lot of dry brushing. Because there's more. There's more. From Hector Carvajal, I got this blob head. I don't have any deep grudges against the blob head we got with the Marvel Legends figure, but if I had one gripe, it would be that he does look young. Taking that off, which is swappable, it does come with an alternate head that I have no clue where that is. Popping the new head on, it gives them that more traditional look, that classic look from back in the day. It's very, very similar, but for some reason, this just has a little more age to it. Maybe it's the cheeks? And I just realized I'll have to paint some eyeballs and match the skin tone. What have you done to me, Hector? It's so much work, but it'll be worth it just to have a unique looking blob. More kind of my speed. More of that old school look. A little more jowly. I keep putting it side by side to see. Well, the hair is almost the same, but yeah, just change up a few features and it changes up the look completely. I was in the hallway minding my own business, talking to people, and playing with my shelf ran by real quick and gave me these. Now, right off the bat, I recognize that these are DC Lantern logos. And I was like, hey, those are cool. But then it was explained to me that this center cap on the Cosmic Legion's Tusk figure actually comes out. Now, I haven't actually done this yet, so give me a moment to figure out what the hell's going on there. Get something under there to pry it. Yep, okay. It just pries right off. And the beautiful thing here is that they're keyed. And now my big question is, are there all these different colors for the Tusk? Or do I need to get a bunch of Tusks and repaint them all these colors? What I probably should have done in the first place is give this guy the Red Lantern logo. That would have made more sense. Just throw some candy red on that. One down. Progress. I love it. I, of course, got a few things from Josh Brown Kustoms, starting with this Robo rabbit head. While I've got the Tusk out, might as well show that that pops right on there. And I may need even more Tusks because this would look fantastic painted pink. Josh had a purple one on display painted by Dorklair, and I loved it. The dry brushing brought out all the details to the sculpt of the head and the figure. It just works so good, like a match made in heaven. But yeah, an armored pink bunny would be awesome on the shelf. Look at that fine detail. It is beautiful. I also had to grab his flaming twisted metal sweet tooth head sculpt and blade because look at that thing. That is crazy. You know I love some translucent orange and red fire sculpt, and that's just icing on the cake. I've had this Samoa Joe body for a while, and okay, that is going to work. The socket is big. I can fill that in a little bit, make it fit, but put the straps on the chest and maybe get some soft good pants made. Okay, yeah. But then, of course, I had to pick up some dinosaur hands for Unparalleled Universe's Odious figure. Again, such a great sculpt. And at first I considered painting these like the originals, but these are on Odious. I think I kind of like them as mystic dinosaur hands, especially since they're translucent purple. Now, if I had a Wade figure, I would paint them up, put them on him, because that's how I picture them. But since it's Odious, yeah, I think they may stay like this. That's not me making excuses for being lazy either. Next up is the Carver Customs Char 71 robot. This is the base model. You get the body, you get these two arms with the clamps on the ends, and then the antenna. And this is actually the Marvel Legends head pull stand. It fits right in the hole. In fact, it's snug. It stays in there. But the beautiful thing about this is all the customizing possibilities. There is the saw blade arm. I do believe this is a blaster attachment replacement for one of the arms. Maybe fuel tanks for the top. Rocket launcher attachment for the top. And I'm gonna go through these, but it's so simple. You just pull out that. You put this in, paint it up, and you have a little floating weapons array. Or maybe you want a sonic blaster arm. You just take this off the side, you put this one on, and that's a syringe arm, maybe, or a needle arm, something, a drill arm. And again, my first impulse is to say this is the left arm because it comes down and bends forward, but nothing is stopping you from putting this way if you want to, putting it on the right side and having it coming up and over. That totally works too. These are shoulder pads to kind of buff it out a bit. Here is another tube system for the top, maybe. Chainsaw arm, which, ooh, that's pretty dang sweet. That intimidating. Comes cutting through the door, then hit you with a sonic blast. Is that a railgun, maybe? Is that a welding arm? Exhaust port for the top? Oh, I kind of like this one, a radar dish or a satellite array for the top. Again, you just pull that out, you replace it with this, throw some paint on it. Did I show you the back? It actually has the designation Char 71. There's another radar dish for the top. Is that a motor of some kind? And I guess you could put it on the side. Maybe it's a tank or air thing, liquid, I don't know. There's a double barrel blaster for any of the ports. All right, my Char 71's got to have the flamethrower because I have no clue what that is. Maybe it's a magnet to rip doors off their hinges, or some kind of hologram projections that can shoot up out of the top. Landscape for planning an attack, maybe, or calling out enemy ships. That is badass. Put that on top, and that becomes kind of the projector. You plug that through. Oh, yeah. Target acquired. Boop. Even though there's only 3 ports, there is so much going on that you could build 50 of these and they would look all different. I'm sure there's more than that. I haven't done the math. There are a lot of variations possible. Just imagine a squad of these, an army of these surrounding your Cosmic Legions or your Star Wars figures or Marvel. These are backup shield units or something. The sky is the limit. As for things that I don't have to paint, from New York Rebel, I got this bucket. And I know that came out as, hey, here's a bucket. But seriously, it's a nice looking bucket. It's got a rope for the handle. It has a very wood-like texture. The black bands going around are shiny compared to the duller feel of the bucket itself. Look at the bottom. It's got some grain. It's got some wear, some tear from being put down on the farm all the time. Focus camera, there we go. From being put down. And what's funny about this, I'm gonna end up with one of Drunk Gizmo's fountains or wells, and I needed a bucket. I have a bucket. You don't hear that every day in the action figure world, but I got a bucket. From Calvo Custom Creations, I got a couple of insane heads. This one I'm thinking is gonna be a Star Wars brood of some kind. I don't know. It's a little large, but I think it would totally fit in context as a beastie type. Or maybe I'll spruce up some Mythic Legions. This body probably isn't the most appropriate for this, but hey, that's the beauty of customizing. You can do whatever you want. Because I also got this head, and man, those glossy black eyes staring out from the flatter kind of mottled skin and the pink over on the sides and that smile, he's trying to sell me a car. I think this is my alien car salesman. He's even got a little hint of a goatee. So, maybe it's a bit large for Star Wars. Of course, I'm using a Darth Maul body, which is one of the smaller characters. I think I could make it work with a different body. Oh, how about this? If I could drop it down a little bit. Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. or Sword. Maybe this would be Sword. So many possibilities. And that's the beautiful thing about LegionsCon. You go to table to table to table. So many possibilities. Dagobi Kustoms was another run by in the hallway, throw me this. And man, look at the detail work on this. I love the skin tone. I love the tattoo work. I love the bits of gold poking out, offsetting the red a little bit, which has a dry brush over some darker shadowing. But man, the eyes peering out at you, the glossiness, catching the light just right. Even if you don't have the light perfectly on it, it still catches it. Look at that. Oh, and I just noticed the scar. That's pretty badass too. As everyone knows, I don't have a lot of Mythic Legions base bodies yet. The ones I tried this on seemed a little small. For some reason, I picture a big buff body under this. So I may try to put this in the Marvel universe somewhere and make this work. Or maybe it's supposed to be a smaller, thicker body. Is this a dwarf? Am I going about this all wrong? Is my mental image straying me away from where this head should go? Or can I just say, customizing? From Artman Customs, before we get into that, Wade had told me that Nico made him a custom head sculpt for Odious that turned the base body of Odious into Marvel's Vermin. And he showed it to me. I was like, hell yeah, that looks amazing. I think I'm going to try to get one of those head sculpts from Nico. And he said, I'm going to run back and tell Nico not to give you one. So that's the kind of friend Wade is. But I did end up getting this head sculpt and this bladed weapon. Oh man, that savage underbite, those whited out eyes, this is kind of scary. And I'm not a weapons expert, but this, you can cut here, or you can stab here, or cut here, and cut there, or stab here, or cut here, or here. It doesn't matter which way you're swinging, you're gonna do some damage. And am I wrong in thinking that this head fits with this crowd? I think I need to find the proper base body. From Shelf Gravy, I got this hooded Cobra Commander head, and I will now finally display this body again. It just changes the look altogether. Like, these are his dress blues. But then on the battlefield, he can rock the old chrome dome with the less ornate uniform. If I did want to swap that out, I also grabbed a lighter blue hooded head for this one. But again, I like this one being battle ready. Oh, come here. Plus, how long did we wait for that chrome face? So this will stay here and be in the front of some troops, and this will be over here in front of other troops. I don't mind having two Cobra Commanders, especially when they are different like this. I don't know which hood I like better though, the one with the big logo on the front or the more subtle logo up over the brow. You know, the hard decisions in life. Then finally we'll get into full-on customs, and you should recognize these. These are from Slacker Hacker. A few years back, a box showed up in my P.O. box with some very blue branded Star Wars figures in it. And then for PowerCon 22, he showed up with a metal lunchbox full of blue goodies. So for LegionsCon, he came with a Robo Don't Know inspired paint job on a Stormtrooper and a Protocol droid. And I absolutely love the weathering. The yellow poking out of the lighter blue, the darker blue arm, again playing into the color scheme I'm currently using for the channel. And then the Stormtrooper goes even further over the top with the yellow lenses, the band, some yellow peeking out in places. But man, again, it's the damage, it's the wear, it's the tear. And this is the Bandai model kit. Look at that. It looks like it's just been in a ton of blaster fire. So yeah, I am building up one hell of a Slacker Hacker blue figure display. Finally, from Drow Tailor Designs, there is this Mythic Legion's brown costume Wolverine and this Mythic Legion Sabretooth. Again, I'm new to Mythic Legion, so I don't know which parts are actually from the line, what parts are 3D printed, what parts are sourced from other toy lines. I just know that these are beautiful. You know, I have an unhealthy relationship with rivets and fine details, and just look at everything that is painted on these damn things all over the place. This alone is impressive as all hell. And I see you, Red Belt, on the brown and tan costume looking all pretty. But then the Sabretooth design evokes his classic costume with the darker browns and the darker tans. But again, those silver rivets, oh man, I am in love. Even the color of the shoulder pads evokes his fur collar. And just translated so great. Now, instead of the claws, he has these bone knives that work just as well because, I mean, it's the same concept. Then Wolverine has these guards with 3 blades sticking out of those. So again, it's just jumping out of the comics into the fantasy realm of Mythic Legions. The thing that throws me off the most is the helmet. It works so well. It has that armored look with the wings coming up that looks like Wolverine's mask. But then I have no clue where this came from. And that's okay. That's part of the mystery. I look at these figures and think, God dang, they were imagination brought into the real world. And there's something special about that. Sabretooth's head is a little bit more familiar, but I still can't place it. I think it's just because it looks like a feral fantasy Sabretooth. These bumpy humpies on top kind of remind me of Beastman though. Wait a second. Then there's the color palettes. Again, I know this is brown costume Wolverine. This is classic Sabretooth. But the actual paint colors used and how they blend together and how they work off each other, it's just so delicious. Even the places where it's just flat planes. It has some paint detail to it, some scuffing, some wear. These are fantastic. Joe and I went back and forth over these for days. And then finally, at the end of the show, he gifted them to me. And I was speechless. I mean, it was just like, oh, okay. That's cool. That is amazing. Before I get into the outro, I wanted to go through some of the business cards of people that were kind enough to just stop and talk to me for a minute. It was another high point of LegionsCon, just how welcoming the whole community was. I was walking into a world that I didn't have a lot of experience with, and after the first day or so, it was just old friends. It was family. What I'm trying to say is LegionsCon is several play days packed into one, or a play weekend, if you will. It is definitely something special. The reason I hadn't ever been before, or even thought about it, was I don't collect a lot of Mythic Legions, but it's beyond all that. It's just toys. It's just playing. It's just enjoying the hobby. I just appreciate the opportunity to be able to run around in that world for a couple of days. And it's obvious I enjoyed it because I'm still here talking about it, recapping 3 weeks later. There's just an energy to it. And you just come out of it hoarse from talking the whole time and energized. Just wanting to make something, to create. Expect more play days to come.